Hey guys, I'm Phil Schinbein and welcome to Tuesdays at Noon. This will be a weekly show that I'm starting on my YouTube channel, wherein I will talk about drums and gear and stuff and what bearing edges are for and all that. This week I thought I would start with my cymbal setup. Very basic, 2 crash, 1 ride, 1 hats kind of setup. But before I get to that, the most important part of your drum set, any drum set, anybody's drum set, most important part ever is your cases. Make it so that you buy your gear once, you don't have to buy it again. Take care of your stuff, it'll last forever. This stuff is designed to be hit with sticks and mallets and brushes and bits of steel, and you know, sometimes your knuckles, when you're not paying attention and you bleed all over them, they're designed to be beaten the hell out of, but they are not indestructible. Cases. Every time I see someone pull something out of the back of a car without a case on it, I just automatically assume they're an amateur and they do not know what they're doing. Most pros I know spend at least as much on their cases as they do on their drums. To a certain extent, you know. So yeah, cases. Most important part of your kit. Second most important part of your kit is your drum stool, but we'll get to that in another one. But, so, for now, talking about my cymbal setup, I will start with my cymbal bag. Credibility from flight tags, yeah? Not bad, huh? Monocase M80 cymbal bag. Very cool, does the job. I fly with this thing, and I've never had a problem. I've been thinking about upgrading to a full vault, but so far it's not really been an issue. So, moving along, cymbals. I started, cymbals. My ride cymbal. The heart and soul of my setup. The kind of beginning of everything. When it comes to cymbals, I start with the ride and I find hats that match or blend well, or at least in a way that I find pleasant. You know, I make everything match the ride. Simply because I studied jazz at university a billion years ago, and in that world, your ride cymbal is everything. It's your identity. It's your sound. Your sound, right? My sound is a Sabian. Everything is Sabian in my world because I'm a good patriotic Canadian, and they're made out in Meductic, New Brunswick. Mark Love and the boys do some fantastic work in their magical factory. I kind of think of it like Santa's workshop, you know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of people tinkering around and there's a bit of magic involved. But anyway, that's a digression. This ride is the hand-hammered 21-inch vintage ride. It is a incredible piece of kit. The bell on this thing is quite epic. But the taper is quite shallow overall, you know, and it's fairly heavy. It's kind of a medium heavy-ish ride, but it's very smooth sounding, you know. I'll find proper recordings of this, of all my cymbals later, and splice it into here. Any cymbals you hear, anytime you hear a ride cymbal on something that I've played on, it's probably this ride. I bought this from Tom Lee Music in Granville Street in Vancouver in 2007, maybe 2008, and I've used it for everything since. Lounge jazz on cruise ships, rock and roll, funk stuff. My current band, the Bon Scots, is kind of, I don't even know what you'd call it, folk pop, I guess. I use it for that. It's the ride for everything. You can get nice kind of sound out of it with smaller sticks, like nice jazzy sound out of it. But then if you really lay into it with the shoulder of your stick, it'll scream and just be the loudest thing in the universe. Fantastic ride cymbal. Moving right along, my hats, also Sabian. As I mentioned before, everything is Sabian. I had these custom made in 2004, I think. Back when I was working at Island Drum in Nanaimo, British Columbia, where I went to university. They are cut myself on my rivets. Anyway, we'll get to the rivets in a minute. They are hand hammered Sizzle Hats, 13 inches. Sabian will make custom orders for you if you know what you want. It's like their riveting service, right? They'll put rivets in anything for you. They'll redo everything. They're very cool. But these are based on their AA Sizzle Hats, which I'm not entirely sure. I think they still do them. I'm not 100% on that. But their Sizzle Hats are AA's, and they come in either 14s or 15s, and they're actually designed for more aggressive, half-open, splashy, smashing away kind of stuff, which I, don't really do much of. But when I had these made, I was right into the jazz. I was one of the jazz nerds, and I was thinking more along the lines of the kind of Max Roach style heel splashes, and having all the rivets on the bottom would just make for a solid, like, it would go forever, right? One of the things I love doing in that context is hitting the edge of the cymbal, getting that harmonic going, so bing bong boom all the way around other cymbals. And when I do it on my hats, if I catch the bottom hat, it's got this nice, which is always fun. This is a fairly heavy bottom, medium heavy-ish, with about a medium top. The top is actually fairly straightforward, fairly small bell, again small bow. I like that, Yeah, that's my hats. Moving right along, on the left side, for every gig I've done for the last couple of years. Oh, and I should say, those hats, those Sizzle Hats, I had those made years ago, and I've used them for every single gig I've done since. They worked for everything. Folk stuff, pop stuff, funk stuff, jazz stuff, for everything. Absolutely everything. And I've had for 12 years now. Every gig has been those hats. Very beautiful hats. For the last 3 years, moving right along, I've been using the same crash on my left. It's a 17-inch Volt crash, and I just came back from a festival weekend, 2 festival weekends back to back, and it is quite filthy. All my cymbals are quite gross right now. But yeah, anyway, this is a very beautiful cymbal. It's very musical. It blends very well. You do cymbal rolls on it and they just sound like glass, just buttery niceness. But if you kind of lay into them, they can take a pounding. They don't even have flea bites around the outside, nothing. I've never had a problem with them. I bought these secondhand from a guy in one of the what I call the Facebook drum nerd groups. Shout out to those guys, Percussion Discussion. Yeah. Yeah, but the guy that I bought this had used this for years as the bottom of a stack. So you can see there's that line through there, through the logo. It's very fun for that. Yeah, just a beautiful, nice cymbal. Nothing particularly fancy about it, other than it just does the job it's supposed to do every time, which, is always a good thing. I got space over here. Throw pillows. The hell's the point? Anyway, moving right along. Lately, I've been alternating between a couple different cymbals on the right. If it's a double crash kind of show, then I will use my old school 18-inch El Sabor. I bought this partly because it's fun to say El Sabor and it had a picture of a chili on it, which is, muy caliente. My Spanish is atrocious, pardon me. But it's fantastic. These cymbals were originally designed to be hand cymbals, not like orchestral, but to be played by conguero, bongacero, and they, hit it with their hands. So it had to be very thin to get that going. But if you play this with a stick, it just screams. It just takes over. It's so good. You need the loudest thing around. This is definitely one of them. I have this set up above my ride, a little bit angled inward, and more often than not, if I gotta go up onto the bell and do some, kind of bembe, Latiny kind of stuff, I will use this bell here over the one on my ride. Even though the one on my ride is great, this one just cuts so much, and it's a completely different sound. It's more Latiny sounding, this bell, rather than the one on the vintage ride is more kind of Motowny, if that makes any sense. More R&B-ish, boom. I know you wanna leave me. That bell sound is good for that ride, 100%. This one is fantastic for the Latin stuff. I've had this for a billion years as well. I bought this when I worked at Island Drum, and I've had this for 12 years at least. Take care of your gear, man. Get a good case. This has stuff in it too. Take care of your gear. It will last you forever. These guys with all the busted cymbals and stuff, it just does my head in. Anyway, if it's not a Latiny, that crash kind of night, and it's more of a more aggressive kind of a night, then I will bring my Trusty Dusty. Actually relatively new to me. I only bought it a couple years ago, and it was new old stock. The guy I bought it from had it sitting in the back of his shop forever. Like, it still has the sticker on it, which I should actually take off now that I think about it. That's the production sticker, that's not a price tag, by the way. But this is the John Blackwell Gia Chinese. There's a video on this cymbal alone in my channel. Did it a while ago, shortly after buying this actually. But this thing is beautiful. I love it. I'm normally not really a China cymbal kind of guy. I find them to be too brash for most situations. I don't do a lot of metal stuff. I don't have that, that's not really my thing. But sometimes that little bit of bite is nice, and I actually love, I don't set it up upside down like how most people do with their Chinas. I set it up this way around, and I will actually ride in here, in this unlathed part, and it sounds so cool. Because there's no bell. It's like a flat ride that is just more better. Yeah, this thing is so good. And it works really well as the bottom of a stack as well. I've got a 16 that I bought from Turkish, from their factory in Istanbul, that is half-lathed. Half-lathed, that's hard to say. It's got those rings in it, and that's a very light and trashy kind of crash. And on top of this, it's just, it's very cool. Yeah, so that's my cymbal setup right now. Sometimes I'll change things around. I've got a K-Dark that a singer that I work with really likes, so I'll bring that instead of this sometimes. Stuff like that. Every now and again I'll throw a splash up just because it's fun to be all, do that Carter double splash hit thing, that stuff. But I don't do that much. It's a bit dated now. It's a very, circa 98 kind of sound, but it's fun nonetheless, every now and again. Yeah, so this is the first in a series of videos that I will be calling Tuesdays at Noon. If this is even remotely interesting, then share this video with all your other drum nerd friends, and I'll see you next week. Remember, comments below if there's anything you want me to get into, anything you're wanting to know about drum related. I will either probably know it or be able to figure it out for you and let you know. I will be doing little product reviews here and there. Every now and again I'll be doing more in-depth test drives like I did with Independent Drum Lab's SB1 snare throw last week and the week before that. But for the most part, these are going to be little kind of short-ish videos talking about things that have come up in my drumming world. Hope you like it, and I hope I do many, many more of these. Hundreds more. Yeah, there's links to Sabian's website down below in the doobly-doo, as Mr. Green says. What else? There'd also be links to my website, but you know, that's just basic stuff. Yeah, that's all. See you next week.